people will say Walmart, they got their act together. There's no questioning that. But Walmart, they spec all their trailers out with drum brakes. Now, the difference between the stopping rate of a trailer that has drum brakes, a truck and trailer that have drum brakes, versus a truck and trailer that have disc brakes, 30%.
Yeah, I was gonna
It is
say
30%
30 to 40.
faster, and what is it?
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's absolutely, it's phenomenal. And again, not to say Walmart doesn't have their act together, or major carriers don't, but you can try to save about $2,000 per truck and trailer to put the standard drum brakes on, or you go with disc brakes, and that makes it a much safer, faster stopping truck. In addition to that, we have our crash mitigation, we have our adaptive cruise, we are getting dash cams, and most of our trucks have them. All of our new trucks will have them. We really try to take every initiative that we can to make a safer fleet out there, and not just because it protects those around us, protects the civilians and all the cars around us, but with the liability of lawsuits being thrown around left, right, and center nowadays, you can't do enough to make yourself safe and cautious, and we really try to strive for that, and it's worked really well so far in the past.
Yeah, I would say the only downside to some of the safety stuff really is the cost, and all this stuff is coming down the pipeline. Pretty soon cameras are going to be required to have in
Right.
trucks, and
Oh, absolutely.
the crash litigation, the speed gauge, that's probably coming too as well, but we already have that technology in place in almost all of our equipment.
Correct. Yeah, I think if a speed gauge comes out, it'll be set to 70. That's what Canada's at. Everything's got to be 70 miles an hour up there, so I'm thinking that's what it'll end up being for us, or for the entire industry as well. We do have certain insurance requirements, which we do meet as well. We have to have $300,000 in cargo liability, and that covers pretty much anything and everything you could ever put in a dry van. And then we have to have $1 million in overall umbrella liability, just in case any major accident ever takes place.
I think one thing that really sets us apart, and not to go off the equipment piece, but still speaking of safety, is how we look at hiring drivers. Again, having come from outside of RANS, right, I would argue the way we hire drivers is very unique in the industry. I think most companies really look at the process as being a one and done. Driver talks to a recruiter, sends an app, they're in the door if they meet the minimum requirements.
Correct.
I think when we look at driver recruiting, I was a little bit surprised how involved our process is. Certainly have the initial recruiter conversation, but then there's an additional level of discussion internally. Is the driver potentially a good fit for us? An additional review, and then we have an actual in-person interview. Sometimes that does have to take place on Zoom. We are a nationwide trucking company, but where possible, we actually try to sit down with the person in person. And when we hire drivers very similar to how we hire office staff. It's almost the exact same process. And I think that leads to what we see consistently is lower turnover than the industry average and a lot of our peers. But I think that also helps with the safety practice.